Fast, focused, and fearless. Here's everything you need to know as you jumpstart your day. I'm Diego Castro. The Justice Department reiterates that International Criminal Court investigators are not welcome in the Philippines. DOJ Secretary Boying Remulla told the chiefs that he will escort them out as soon as they arrive in the country. Remulla also reiterated that the Philippine government will no longer engage in any undertakings by the ICC. This comes after ICC prosecutor Karim Khan rejected the country's appeal to stop the court's drug war probe.
Tulungan ko sila para they can take the first plane out. Umuwi na kayo, wala kayong gagawin sa Pilipinas. Kami, kung meron kayong reklamo, file nyo sa amin.
Warned the ICC of possible charges should they insist on conducting the investigation in the country.
They will be committing usurpation of authority. We can file a complaint if that's the case.
China disapproves a joint statement of the Philippines and the U.S. condemning Beijing's activities in the South China Sea. Brian Castillo with the report.
China reacted negatively to the statements made by Philippine and United States officials against Beijing's activities in the West Philippine Sea. This comes after the recent 2+2 ministerial dialogue between the United States and the Philippines. According to Chinese Foreign Ministry spokesperson Wang Wenbin, China has indisputable sovereignty over the islands in the disputed waters. Wang added that maintaining peace and stability in the region hinges on trust, solidarity, and cooperation, and requires that members of this region should take security firmly in their own hands. Manila and Washington recently expressed strong objections to the unlawful maritime claims, militarization of reclaimed features, and threatening and provocative activities in the South China Sea. Meanwhile, News 5 had a chance to go around the Antonio Bautista Air Base in Puerto Princesa, Palawan, which is one of the 5 military bases included in the Enhanced Defense Cooperation Agreement, or EDCA, in 2014. One of the facilities funded by the U.S. is now being used for the Balikatan exercises by Filipino and American soldiers and other allies.
Dito po usually ginagawa yung mga planning at saka monitoring during exercises at saka mga incident responses po natin sa panahon ng mga emergencies or disaster.
Aside from this, the U.S. military also funded projects which includes putting up a fuel storage facility, an incident command facility, and a multi-purpose building. The Philippine Air Force, though, maintained that the EDCA sites are still under the jurisdiction of the Philippine government.
Rest assured, mga kababayan natin, na the Philippine government is in control of all these sites. We will not allow any pagbibigay, pagbibitaw ng ating control sa ating mga teritoryo ng Pilipinas.
Meanwhile, during the ongoing Balikatan exercises, the U.S. Army decided to teach Filipino soldiers how to use a Javelin anti-tank weapon system, which is capable of destroying tanks and armored vehicles.
We want to also bring that capability to the Philippine Army in order for us to be able to bolster our defensive posture and be able to defend our territory.
The Balikatan exercises will continue until the end of April. Then in May, the second phase of Salaknib 2023 will continue. Among the planned training activities are the command post exercise, cyber defense exercise, field training exercise, and humanitarian civic assistance. For News 5, Brian Castillo, we are One News.
Tropical Depression Amang has weakened into a low-pressure area on Thursday, but the weather disturbance reportedly left at least 12 billion pesos worth of damage to agriculture sector and in Bicol region. Based on the initial assessment of DA Region 5, damage and losses have been reported in rice, high-value crops, and livestock. The tropical depression has damaged over 1,000 hectares of agricultural areas in Camarines Sur and Sorsogon. Meanwhile, over 100,000 pesos in humanitarian assistance or aid has been distributed by the Social Welfare Department to those affected by Amang. The DSWD and local government units continue to provide assistance to residents who are staying in evacuation centers as the floods continue to subside in affected areas.
Although nakita naman natin hindi po ganoong kalakas, ito pong si Tropical Depression Amang, ganun pa man, nakapagdulot pa rin po ito ng pinsala sa iba't ibang bahagi po ng ating bansa, particularly po sa ating eastern border. Sa ngayon po nakapagpamahagi po tayo ng mahigit 109,000 na halaga po ng humanitarian aid, particularly po dito po sa Field Office 11.
We'll be back with more stories after the break. Keep it here on One News. You're still watching One News Now. I'm Diego Castro. Transport Group Manibela expresses support for the government's plan to provide drivers in unprofitable routes with subsidies instead of giving commuters fare discounts. Transportation Department says it's eyeing to distribute subsidies to struggling jeepney drivers plying shorter and unprofitable routes, scrapping its initial plan to give fare discounts to commuters. Transportation Secretary Jaime Bautista explains the budget that was supposed to be used for fare discounts is just 1.2 billion pesos, a far cry from the 10 billion pesos allocated last year for the Libreng Sakay program. Speaking to the big story, Manibela Chairman Mar Valbuena says they are in favor of this move, but notes that the DOTR must make sure that all drivers plying the selected routes will be given the promised subsidy.
Actually, wala pa kaming napiling ruta, pero ang sinasabi namin, yung mga hindi profitable o hindi viable, yung hirap talaga sa biyahe na mga ruta, yun ang tulungan. Pero dapat hindi siya 50-50. For example, yung 100 na units, halimbawa dun sa isang ruta, kailangan po, kung 100 units yan, dapat yung 100 units na yan maka-avail. Kasi kung may maiiwan, sino pa ang sasakay sa kanya kung hindi siya magkakaroon ng subsidy o hindi babayaran yung kanyang discount.
Valbuena adds that the measure should be carefully studied first before implementation. He also notes that additional funds have already been requested to fund this subsidy program.
May hinihintay pa tayo na sana maaprubahan yung 2.2 billion na Ma'am Reg na subsidy pa nito. Kaya hindi ito pinatupad sa ngayon dahil pinag-uusapan pa at nire-request pa kung saang agency po ito kukuhanin.
So, posible pang tumaas ang subsidy mula sa 1.2 billion? Just to clarify more?
Yes, Ma'am Sean, kasi ang sabi natin, kulang na kulang yan at pagkakaroon lamang ng inggitan. So, sinasabi natin na sana madagdagan yon para lahat po ng nasa transport sector ay matulungan.
The Health Department says there's a need to regulate foreign recruitment of healthcare workers. Speaking to the program, the Chief's Health Officer in charge, Maria Rosario Vergeres, said that countries should have specific bilateral deals before recruiting healthcare professionals to work abroad. Vergeres said they've already consulted healthcare sector groups about this. She adds that ethical recruitment prevents higher income countries from draining out manpower from lower income nations. The oil spill cleanup in Oriental Mindoro will likely take half a year, but recovery from the incident could take much longer. The UP Marine Science Institute projects a 6-month cleanup at the very least. However, total rehabilitation of affected areas and bodies of water could take 1 to 3 years. President Marcos earlier compelled agencies to finish the cleanup in less than 4 months. As for fishing, the institute says it would be up to BFAR to assess if there are no more traces of toxic substances in the water. But until then, they are advising fisherfolk to hold off on fishing.
It's dangerous to ingest organisms that contain high amounts of polyaromatic hydrocarbons. This is a carcinogenic compound.
Okay. And that's it for this hour. Join us again at 7:45 a.m. as we continue to monitor the day's biggest stories. I'm Diego Castro. We are One News. All sides, all the time.